Hello. I have a massive stack of boxes and parcels and things which have come through the post over the last few weeks or months. These are just the ones I've selected out to pick through today, and there are loads here. There's some very big boxes in some very interesting packaging. There's one that's wrapped in a bin bag by the looks of it. Let's have a quick look though. First up is this one right here. I'll get my trusty knife and start to open it up. So this is a bit of a weird one because I bid on this and I won it, and then the seller refunded my money because they said that they'd written the description wrong. So I emailed them back and said, well, I still want it, so could you still sell it to me at that price? They kind of begrudgingly said yes, so there's a little bit put out by that, but I got it in the end. This is Panzer Dragoon on the Sega Saturn. This cost me £21 with a £3.50 postage and packaging, which is quite a bit really. So I paid about £25 for this, which is probably about $30 something. As you can see, all the parts there, the instruction manual, but the case is in a little bit of a state. I think I was a little bit annoyed about this when I opened it, the fact that actually the seller hadn't listed that in their item description. Now, Panzer Dragoon was a really big game on the Sega Saturn, and it was one that I wanted when I had a Saturn. It was one that I was really looking forward to playing at some point, but I never really saved up enough money for it. Panzer Dragoon 2 came out, and also the really, really rare Panzer Dragoon Saga, which was one of the last games actually on the Sega Saturn, hence the reason why it's so rare. So next we have a quite nice box around this case here. It looks like a DVD style box. And inside it we have Street Racer on the Sega Saturn. Now it's got a nice sign on here from Electronics Boutique, which was a shop that I actually bought my Sega Saturn from way back in the 1990s. You can see this is $12.99, but I actually paid $13.99 for this, and I believe I paid a few pounds for packaging and postaging. It was out on the Super Nintendo, and I think I played it on the Super Nintendo many years ago around a friend's house. I was a little bit frustrated to see that there was no instruction manual in there. I don't remember the seller listing that there was no instruction manual, but I could be wrong. Next I have this really interesting bag, which is quite fun in its own polka dot way. Inside here I have a few games, starting with Sega Rally Championship, also for the Sega Saturn.
Sega Rally Championship. Very long, easy ride, baby.
This is a game that I actually have. I didn't really want this game, but it came with some other games, and so I bought it anyway. Now this case here is a really hard one to open. Sega Saturn games seem to have about 3 variations of case, and this one is the worst. It's almost impossible to open. It's like, oh, why won't you? Anyway, as you can see, the instruction manual's in there, and so is the CD there. This was probably one of the best games out on the Saturn, oddly enough. Daytona really went through the mill, and they didn't re-release very good versions. The arcade was amazing of Daytona, but the Sega Saturn version was not very good. Next we have Alien Trilogy. This is a really fun game, and actually a friend of mine had it on the PS1 I believe, and we played it. It was awesome fun. As you can see here, some of the teeth on this have been pushed in, so the disc doesn't really click into place, which is a shame. It's just going to kind of flail around inside there. You can see also on the spine here that it's been taped up, so it's obviously the cardboard has come away at some point and someone's taped it up. Again, I don't think the seller mentioned that. It's a really fun game. I really enjoyed playing it for the brief moment I was filming this footage. Next we have Quake for the Sega Saturn. And now that footage, I've actually lightened it up a little bit in post because it's actually quite a dim and dark game. Like a lot of these otherworldly Doom style games, they're always quite dark. And this of course is the successor to Doom. It's by ID Software. Quake did really well on the PC and it was obvious that it would get a Saturn port. The port probably isn't as good by a long shot, but it's still a good fun game. It's still nice to have that one. All three of those games together actually cost me £20 with about £3 package and postage. I bought them separately, so I bought the Alien Trilogy and also the Sega Rally together. Then I bought Quake on its own, but I didn't realise they were from the same seller, and I bought them at the same time, so they just came all packaged together. And next we have Virtual On Cyber Troopers. Now if you're watching another pickups video of mine, you'll know that I actually already have a copy of this that I bought. But this version has the manual, and that was quite important to me because this is a game that I really love. It's a game that I've wanted for many years, and then I got a copy and I had a quick play of it and I loved it again, and I thought it would be really nice to have one that actually has the manual. So I've got an old version which I'll probably put back on eBay now to get rid of. Now it's always interesting to get something which looks like it's been already thrown away in the bin. This is actually a bin liner or a bin bag which has been used to wrap this thing in, and it just came with the address on the top there. It came with a lot of bubble wrap as well to protect it. The case is probably smashed up anyway, as seems to be the case with a lot of these things. Anyway, this is Wipeout on the Sega Saturn. Now Wipeout on the Saturn was a lesser version of the PlayStation 1 game, mainly because the soundtrack was a different soundtrack, so it wasn't all these kind of famous dance artists that were involved with the PS1 game. As a result, it kind of felt like a sort of cheap cousin of the PS1 game, but I really like it, and actually the soundtrack for this is quite good. What I find interesting about this game is just the way that they've tried to visually sell it. You can see that on the back here there's no real description, there's just loads of game shots, so there's lots of in-game pictures. And the front of the case has that really kind of stylized graphics as well, that almost sort of like a dance CD type graphic at the time for the mid-90s. I sort of bought this though to be a completist because I actually really like Wipeout. I prefer the Wipeout 2097 game because it had a bit more going for it than this game here. Wipeout only cost me about £8, which is about $12. Anyway, on with the next one, which is kind of already opened up. This is how it came through the door, so it obviously got beaten up in the post. This is Sonic R on the Sega Saturn. Sonic R always felt like it was a sort of Sega's attempt at Mario Kart, and as you can see, it comes in one of those really annoying cases that just won't open no matter how hard you try. I honestly thought I was going to break this. I had to put it down just to open the damn thing up. I love the fact that it's a picture disc of the front cover there, and some really kind of very 90s renders of Sonic, Tails and Knuckles. Sonic R is quite a fun game. It's quite difficult to control at first. I actually had several attempts at capturing footage for this video. It was made by Traveller's Tales, and what is this? Oh my gosh! It's a interesting combo of Sonic stuff here. Sonic skateboard and hat and knee pads and. Well, if you want to be the coolest dude on your block, then maybe that's what you should be riding and wearing, but I'm alright, thanks, not for me. Thank you, thanks, just move on, I don't really want to. I'm alright, thanks. Anyway, look at that, what does that say? Real cool dude. Okay, sure. But anyway, this cost me £23, which is probably about, I don't know, $28 or something like that. Maybe $30. Next, again, another package which looks like it was basically opened mid-post. This is in a bit of a state here, loads of sellotape hanging off. There is nothing sometimes that prepares things for the postal service. This is Wipeout 2097. Wipeout 2097 is the much better version of the game, and it's the successor to Wipeout, and it came out very shortly after the original. There's some really cool things on here. The fact that you can blow up other ships, the fact that you can use one strike to blow up other ships, and various bits and pieces like that. It just plays so much better, and it's so much more fun to control. I had a demo version of this disc and never actually had the full game, so I'm looking forward to playing all the other courses and all the other ships and stuff like that. I really love finding nice small things like this inside the case, little leaflets and stuff that came out at the time, which give you kind of a bit of a snapshot into the past. And there's also this really nice big instruction manual in here as well, which is just, again, I don't know why I collect things with an instruction manual in, because I'm never going to read those. I'm never going to sit down and read that, am I? But there's a completist in me that likes to have those. Anyway, even the disc has a really cool look to it, and it looks like the sort of thing that an album at the time would have come out on. This cost me about £14, £15, which is probably about $20 or so. Anyway, next we have this quite large box here. Can't quite work out which way round it should go. I'm just going to open a random side, which is probably for the best. And of course I have opened the bottom. Anyway, let's get that out and turn it round. This is actually a controller for Densha de Go, which is a train simulator on the Sega Saturn. I bought this because I kind of wanted to do a video about this. This is one of those weird things that in Japan came out, and it was something that was obviously such a niche but also so popular they had to build a peripheral for it. And this is that peripheral. Here's all the Japanese writing on it. It looks really interesting, and I'm going to have to try that out at some point. I'm not going to open it any further because I want to make a proper video about that, so let's put that aside. And next we have this one, which has come in from Japan, and this is a really small CD size package, so let's go and have a quick look inside this. Now, first off, it came in this really cool packaging, which is actually just a sheet from a magazine. But it looks so cool, and I love the way that the seller has packaged it up as well. I think I was probably maybe slightly more excited about this than I was the actual contents. The contents is cool, however, this was just so awesome to get these kind of sheets from Japanese magazines. That this one here looks like it's selling clothing of some sort, and just what is going on in those pictures. Looks like sort of business clothing, and how much? What, 3,000 yen for? I don't know what that is, a blazer or something, and then I don't know. Anyway, it looks really weird, and I think I might have to reuse these to package something up. Maybe give a gift to somebody with these at some point, because they look awesome and they're just so cool. And this one with all the robots on it, it's awesome. Anyway, this is the game Densha de Go EX on the Sega Saturn. Now, Densha de Go is a game for train driving enthusiasts. As you can see from this one, you can see that the peripheral that I bought is also on the back of there. So I'm going to do a proper video about these at some point. It's a Japanese game, and you can see it's quite yellowed, but it seems to be in its own case. So if I open that case up, then hopefully this yellowing, this kind of sun yellowing that it's got, shouldn't be on the actual CD itself. Anyway, it's been stuck closed. I'm not sure if this has ever been opened. It seems that that's not the case. It seems that, I mean, the price is still on there from Japan, and I don't know whether someone's played this before. Well, as you can see, it's also wrapped in a bit of cellophane there. I don't know why this is on the front here. It seems to be that it's kind of been opened and then put back in the cellophane. I don't know. This is a Japanese game, so I'm going to use this on a region modded Sega Saturn, which I modded. You can see a video about how I modded it on this channel. And inside here, which is something I thought was absolutely incredible. I mean, this has been a real exciting package as we go, but here is the receipt, and you can see it comes from the Rio Plan shop, which opens from 9:30 until 7:30. Look at that, and it was 2,461 yen. And there's the game and the airmail sending on there as well. What does that yen translate to? Well, I actually bought this game for about £15, which £16, which is about $20, which is quite cool. Here's a very pictorial instruction manual. Even though I only know maybe 1 or 2 words of Japanese, and I certainly can't read it, this is actually oddly helpful in some ways. But again, I probably won't read it. I'll probably just go and try and have a go. But this is in great condition. I'm actually really surprised about this because it's quite an old game. As you can see, it's 1996, the first release. 1998 was when this version was released, and it's in really, really good condition. That is absolutely lovely. And it comes in this weird sun yellowed case with all the prices on. There's a real split between people who don't like stickers and they don't like extra things. They like their games to be in a certain condition. I love all those things on game cases because it's a real history, and it's a real kind of it's a real sort of scar of where that thing's been and what's happened to it. Anyway, I'll do a full video on that at some point. Next up is this really small one. This is a tiny little package here. Let's get it open and have a look inside. And I'm being very careful because again my address is on the back of this one. This is the next step in the video about the Densha to Go. This is actually a region mod kit for the Sega Saturn. You can see in there there's a pre-flashed chip which has the region mod on it. There's also a few resistors for the LED there and some wires to connect the whole thing up. I'll do a full video on this, and you can see the video where I region mod a Sega Saturn. Next we have this big box here which is packaged in some bin bags. Again, it's all been taped up. So let's get this thing open. And when I get boxes like this, I'm always really careful because I actually know that there's another box inside here, so I'm being really careful about the way that I cut this open. This is something that I've been watching for some time on eBay. This actually cost me £45 with another £10 package and postage, so it's £55 in total, which is probably about sort of 65, getting on for $70 I would have thought. This is something I saw come up on eBay and I actually couldn't resist. I wasn't going to buy this. It came in as not working. This is a Mega CD 2 with a Mega Drive 2. The seller listed this as not working. They listed it as spares and repairs, and they don't have any of the cables that go with it. They don't have the adapters or anything like that. So I'm going to have a look at it and I can see if I get it working. I don't know. A lot of the time with these things, people list them as not working because they can't find the cables. Either that, or with the Mega CD, they don't know how the Mega CD acts as a slave to the master, which is the Mega Drive. I took this off quite easily, but it's been really difficult to put it on. It's actually quite difficult to get this thing back together. I'm surprised at how difficult it is to get the two together. I don't actually have a Mega Drive 2, so this is going to be quite an interesting one. And this is probably why I'm having such trouble. I actually did it sometime later off camera and managed to get the whole thing back together, but right now I've tried everything. I tried taking that metal plate off, I tried sliding on at different angles, I couldn't get anything to work. So I wonder what it would have been like being a child in the 1990s and getting this Mega CD and getting this Mega Drive and trying to fix them up. I'm not sure it would have worked. I have quite a few Mega CDs now. I actually have a Mega CD 1 and I have 2 Mega CD 2s if you include this one. And I have a number of Mega Drives too. I'm going to try and fix a lot of those up and actually resell them because I don't have the space. I have a very small flat. I'm going to leave you with some footage of me haplessly trying to get this thing back together. Yeah, in the end I just gave up. So this is all my pickups. Again, it's a very Sega heavy one, mostly for the Saturn. In fact, every single game here is on the Sega Saturn, and I've almost decided that this is the console that I really like collecting for. Something about the Sega Saturn which really kind of hit a mark in my life when I was in my teens, which made a really big impact, and I didn't really have many games for it at the time, so maybe I'm compensating for something, I don't know. Anyway, here's some great games, and there's some interesting ones in there as well. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching. Please do all the stuff that YouTube like me to tell you to do, like subscribing to this channel, liking things and clicking bell icons somewhere. Thanks. Anyway, bye bye.